interesting astrologically, especially coupled with a total solar eclipse. This is like really just stirring up all kinds of things. And there's this feeling of dancing. I think I mentioned that last time when we had our lunar eclipse. This time, however, the moon is cutting us off a little bit from seeing the sun. So that's why you can't look at it directly, because it sharpens the sunlight, it sharpens the light of God. There's this interesting dynamic we have here of the moon crossing over the path of the sun and shielding it. And this particular eclipse is interesting because we will not be able to see it directly, not just because it wouldn't be safe to, stare at the eclipse as it happens, but also because it is only going to be visible by anyone who is in Antarctica, which as far as I know is just some people from NASA. So there will be footage, I believe, that they're doing of that if you're interested in seeing it. This is because currently the South Pole is tilted towards the sun, and all of us in the northern hemisphere and near the equator are tilted away from it. So there's this sense of backing up so that you can see the whole picture. Okay, here's who you become, and here's how you can continue to transform and shift. Bring me back to this place of heavenly bliss. Bring me back to this place of balance. I myself am feeling all kinds of scattered. This is for so many reasons. But it's also no coincidence that this past weekend, you guys may have seen solar flares on Sunday, I believe. And I just laughed because I was like, it's Sagittarius literally teaching us how to shoot for the moon, because it's like shooting out your fire and like going for it and flowing with it. The part that's labeled total eclipse is called the umbra. That's like the full total shadow. And then the penumbra is where a partial eclipse would happen. With a total eclipse, it is this sense of utilizing your shadow, the shadow that you have already seen within yourself and within humanity, to create massive transformation. And it's interesting too, because many astrologers will tell you that you shouldn't do any type of manifestation on an eclipse because it's such a volatile, volcanic energy. However, Sagittarius is also teaching us how to be flexible, how to shift, like on the dime. And so with this in mind, it's showing us how we can manifest in a different way and enjoy the full manifestation process. It's not just about, oh, you can't set intentions on this day because it's an eclipse. This is about really sitting with yourself and tapping into your body and going, okay, what does this feel like? And how can I let this move me? How can I let this, wiggle, find its expression? It's not just the eclipse that we have to pay attention to. We actually have a stellium. And for those who don't know what a stellium is, in astrology, this is when 3 or more celestial bodies, so this can be planets, asteroids, the works, are in close conjunction. This is from the chart of the actual eclipse. I always refer to a stellium as a cuddle puddle in astrology, because it's these planets sort of getting together and showing us how they can get along in a way that we might not have expected. Especially in Sagittarius, this is important because Mercury is not very comfortable in Sagittarius. It's what's called detriment, which simply means that it prefers to be energetically in the sign that's across from it. So in this case, Mercury is more comfortable in Gemini, which is directly across from Sagittarius. So you would think that this is really uncomfortable, and it is. It's hella uncomfortable. It's that volcanic energy, that agitation, that, oh my God, I have to move, but I don't even know in what way, because I need to move in a new way. The old way isn't serving me anymore. So if you're used to speaking for communicating, maybe it's time to get quiet and listen. And if you're used to being quiet and to keeping your voice dim, maybe it's time to speak up, because Mercury, yes, rules that throat chakra energy, and it's also the messenger of God. As if that wasn't enough, we also have our solar eclipse in Sag, making a delicious quincunx to Uranus retrograde in Taurus. There's this feeling of sort of strain, where it's like we're looking all the way, but there's still something here that we can't quite see. And so again, Sagittarius is showing us how to see and perceive differently and to visualize without our eyes. That's the biggest thing here, especially with this eclipse being as it is, only seen, by Antarctica. We are literally being forced to tap into our vision with a capital V without seeing. But Taurus also shows us that there's an embodiment to it, a smoothing out and combing through your behavior physically. And so this is a potential blind spot here between this Sagittarian all-in learning and the need to expand and just grow and explore, versus this very, very basic and important need that Taurus has to be stable, to be safe, to be secure. There's a difference between seeking sovereignty, looking for that sense of autonomy and independence, versus embodying it, deciding right here and now, okay, what's my current situation and how can I adjust on a very physical level so that I can move towards my best life, simply put. And that looks different for all of us. And that's why it's important to honor your individuality and the different things that help you to process and to manifest, because that's what's going to resonate with your body of consciousness. And so keep taking care of yourself on the most basic levels. Things that seem simple are sometimes the most powerful medicine. So we've gone through, fire energy. We went through a bit of earth energy with Taurus. And I gave you the visual of what's called a grand water trine here, in the sense that the angle that the signs make in this way creates a perfect equilateral triangle. So this is why a trine is so powerful, and it's actually one of the more comfortable aspects in astrology because it creates a sacred shape, the triangle, which is the strongest shape. And you'll notice that you can only create these perfect triangles in a chart when the signs are of the same element. Something to note here also astrologically is that both planets are direct and dignified, which is really exciting. And what that means is Neptune was retrograding for quite a few months. Now, just this past Wednesday, Neptune is direct. So it will be shifting from moving what we would consider to be like backwards in the sky, and it's shifting forward again. In other words, it's starting a new orbit around our sun, which is super exciting because this means a new cycle for our subconscious. It means a new cycle for our dreams. It's the perfect time to work in the dream time. Like if you have a really good dream, especially if it's kind of like, saucy and nice, and you're like, ooh, that was kind of fun. Like, maybe you dream about a potential lover or a potential gift that you want to receive this season. That's that Mars and Scorpio energy playing with your desires, playing with that burningness that's under the boiling water of Scorpio. And so to be dignified simply means that these planets are most comfortable in these signs. So everything is very sort of organized here. So if you're the type of person to be uncomfortable with water energy, to be uncomfortable with feeling uncomfortable, let yourself feel and not judge it as an overwhelm. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed, one, to validate it, and two, to acknowledge that the overwhelm is also a sign of abundance. It means that you have the capacity and the access to hold that much and more emotions and feelings, not just hold, but you can also move them through you. And this is where, again, the water energy here works well with the fire, because the fire will keep it moving, keep it flowing. And it's beautiful, really, because even if you are experiencing these sort of nightmarish purges in the dream time, which I've often experienced, of just like, these old things that come up in your dream and you're like, what the heck is that about? This is perfect because it's showing you how to more fully release. What's coming is going up and out. My mom used to tell me when I was a kid. It's that masculine in the feminine, the part of yourself that must release and let go so that you can receive and continue to create and keep the cycle flowing. Mars is the engine that powers our speedboat to get us through this ocean of collective emotion. So Neptune in Pisces is that ocean. It's, oh God, we can feel everyone, especially right now, and especially if you're very sensitive and empathic, you feel all these things and all these emotions, and it's crazy, but it's so abundant. Nature holds all these emotions. Nature holds all this abundance. And Mars is the motivation, the firepower that ushers us through this place. It's why he can be so fiery and also be so comfortable in this water sign, because it's sort of like a love story between water and fire. So yeah, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's surprisingly good medicine.